Hello and welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack Duxbury and today we're in a whole new world. A whole new world. I'm still very much alone in this little room, but the new world is that we're looking at software together, and there's a new bit of software from Toontrack called EZbass. Let's check it out. Okay, got the laptop open, I've loaded it all on, it was very easy, and I've got it installed on a channel in Logic here, and this is what it looks like. I have a normal MIDI controller plugged in, and firstly you can play this thing, so I'm going to go for something in the key of E. So fun to play, and you're thinking, well, I'm never going to use it like that, because you want to use it in your songs, right? You're not just going to whittle some lead on it. I've had a little look at it. I've had about an hour with it, and the nice people at Toontrack sent it to me. And I have a little loop that I was working on, thinking of a backing track, and this is what the loop sounds like. Working title of Mayonnaise. Right, now I've got that bass, I could play along with it. Cool, but you know, I've never had good results. You may have been the same. And some of the technology behind the plugin is all about fitting it in with songs. It seems like that way. Right, now first way is to put the chords in yourself. Now we've got a little sequencer here, and I could say add groove, and it'll put in this block of MIDI, and it'll sound like this. Bang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang. We don't want that, right? So, but that's all right. It's made a little region. This is like the MIDI editor in whatever DAW you're using. Now if I double click this bad boy, I get a little wheel of keys. I like it. Right, now it's the same little experimentation, some of the same shortcuts work. So I want 3 blocks of something. If I double click this, the next is going to be an A, but it's got a little bit of an odd time, so I can zoom in. And I'm pretty sure that this bad boy goes on that beat, and let's have a listen to that. Oh, there we go, old Cod Eye Duxbury again. Well, what I can do is I can copy all of this and then go to here and paste it. Pretty short. Oh, C. There we go, and now I don't have to worry about the loop. It's like tuning in with Grandad, with audio editing with your grandpa. That's all right. I love how that is just the first thing that opens up. Pretty tasty. One of the first places to go, it seems to be, is you've got these abilities to transition. That's always the bit that I struggle with. We can all put in the notes, but getting them to sound like a guy sliding around and things like that, that's been hard. And on this one, what I could do is select, say, for example, this note where it's going to bridge the two repeating sequences, transition, and I can put short and it'll give me something. Oh, a little fruity transition. Now if I go to this one, let's try what short 2 does on the end. Oh yeah. Remarkably similar, but we're not giving it a lot to go there. So we've got the transition styles, and then we also have the playing style. Now when I bring this up and if I select all the notes, this is really cool, right? So I can adjust the length, how much he's dampening it, and you'll hear it. And the amount of notes as well. It's kind of a bit like if you've used Logic Drummer program. I love the idea that you're talking to the player instead of getting in and doing fine note detail. You just, oh mate, back it off, palm mute it a bit, make the notes a bit shorter or longer. So let's try that. Now I'm going to damp it a bit. Maybe I want him to be a bit busier, so let's crank up the notage. Boney M now. Or maybe a bit of Aswad. I could go less on the notes and then more on the length. Less dampage, see what happens. I dig it, I dig it. Let's put all these back to 0. I like that the shortcuts seem to be intuitive. I've only had a few minutes with it. Back to our normal groove. Actually, I kind of liked the shorter, stubbier notes. Right, so we've got a groove going. Now, we can go into the grid editor now. So they're all the kind of broad strokey type things you can do with it. Now I can see all my notes as we would in the step editor. So if I wanted to get a bit fruity with it, we don't want to do that. What seems to be cool about this little world that we're in is finer control of how the notes move together. And if, for example, I take these two notes where I've got a little bit of a gap here on the fretboard, I'm thinking maybe I want him to slide up into it. And then we've got these little articulations. Use slide on selected notes. Let's see what happens there. Oh, let's give it a bit. Got a slide in, we got a short slide up, let's hear. Oh, tra-la-la-la-la. Right, so that's going there. In the grid editor, slides, articulations. The other thing we could do is just randomize the whole thing. So if I've got all my notes going, we can crank up the randomize, and that might be enough, especially if you've got a static track, just to get some. Let's see what it does. It should just randomize and make it sound a bit more human. So he's had a few pints there. Let's go to like. Maybe just a 1 gin and tonic and a cigarette on that one. Also, we can adjust his dynamism and velocity, all pretty standard stuff. Let's look at how we can convert musical ideas and not have to input it with some of the other features. This is going to be risky business. I've got my track running here, no bass, and I've made a quick bounce of all the drums and the harmonic material into a little loop. And I can drag and drop that in here. Now there's 3 ways. If I had a bass audio file, I'm sure that would do it better, but we're pushed for time here today. I've got this little arrangement. From a read of the manual, this seems to be the algorithm to go for. A bit like things when you're doing any time stretching, or if you're used to flex time, choosing the right algorithm is part of the thing. These are amazing things, but there's a little bit of thought involved. And the other one, it will just analyze drums. You can actually see in the background what's happening on the screen. You can see that that's just giving me the rhythm. So that might be nice if you just want to extract a rhythm from something and then put the notes in. In this one, it's decided to, it's like polyphonically scanning the audio, and it will give it a best shot. You can choose how many articulations it's going to put in there. Anyway, this is what it comes up with. Okay. And then if I play it. So I didn't even want to get through it there, but it is quite interesting because then you can add the MIDI to the song track and we can go edit that bad boy. If I just zoom out a bit. Now, with a bit more time and things like that, and it's maybe a bit hit and miss. I think the drum thing's really cool, where it extracts the rhythm and you play along. Obviously, there's some great demos out there. Go check them out. Of some a guy, production expert, using a funk track, and that made a lot of sense for it. Anyway, that's that. I'm just going to show you one other little way you can change up the grooves. Right, another way to find different grooves without having to go in and program them yourself is in, surprise, surprise, the grooves tab that's on there. If I play what we've got at the moment. By the way, this is just a clean DI signal at the bat. In a minute we'll run through some presets, but we'll get there. Because I think a lot of people use the clean DI and then you could treat it the way you would normally treat a bass. We're in this grooves tab. Bass is where we sit, go to grooves, and this is what comes up. We've got a bucket load of different things. If I click them, let's see what happens. So a little bass fill in there. Some of these look fruity. So this one. Right, and that's just clicking through the first ones. We could look through and go pop rock, dampened, and we've got two ones here. Let's try that. Dope. That's what I wanted. Let's try the second one. That really suits it. Another crazy way to find it is to tap to find. So this comes up. So I've tapped in a groove, find similar grooves, and it's found two with my crazy tapping. Let's play that along. So you could get pretty good at choosing. I think the skill will be in picking the right way to find what you want to speed up. Sometimes you'll probably have a drum loop and know that if it's quite complex with a complex kick pattern, then either the scan audio one or the tapping might be the best way to do it. If it's nice and simple, you can probably just groove the categories and things like that and get what you want. Let's set up a repeating loop and listen to some of the different sounds, because I hear there's a vintage bass in here. Got a loop set up, I've soloed the bass. This is again what we've been listening to, but for reference, this is the modern bass with a clean DI. Right, I'm gonna loop it and you'll see me flick through a few presets on here, and then I'll show you where you can edit it after. And let's just hear that in the track with some different variations. So really, pretty in the ballpark. You saw that, let me explain myself. When I said really, the ability to completely change the feeling of a track. And again, we're not buried in an editor, and I'm not having to flick on loads of plugins to do lots of processing. I'm digging it. I hit the effects tab here, and in here, I can do things like blend between pickups. So let's go back to that clean DI and see what that makes a difference. We'll solo it again. Spinning Wheel of Death fixed, probably gonna happen again because we're gonna flick through and now listen to the difference between the modern and the vintage. I'm just going to play a dodgy lick. Now I'm going to flick to vintage. Maybe with the joys of editing, we're going to hear one loop with the modern and then one loop with the vintage. Let's do it. Modern. Vintage. Interesting. Bit maybe like the Logic drummers again. If you choose Kyle over Randy, they're going to have a different personality, and that bass has interpreted the MIDI in a different way to my ear. I'm just going to flick through a few presets until my computer dies. Crikey O'Reilly. Let's conclude. In conclusion, don't know why I'm sat like this, but I'm on my own, I can do what I want. I loved it. Took me a little bit of learning, just looking at one video, and I reckon it would take me about an hour for a full song to go through, choose all the different parameters. But I think at the end of it, that hour would be better spent on this, using the things it's giving me rather than laboriously sitting there and trying to do it all in the step editor. The articulations seem really easy to use. If you're familiar with Native Instruments library like the Rickenbacker and the P-Bass, which I use a lot, that's where it falls apart. It's really hard to program in articulations, I find. This makes it easy. Anyway, you can buy it from Andertons. It's really reasonable, I think, for what it does. And I'm going to leave you with a bit of jamming out over this backing track. Probably inappropriately, but you've heard enough of it, and you've heard enough of this. Jesus Christ. I'll leave you to it. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing. If you don't, let us know. We like to learn from it. And thanks to everyone for watching at this time. I hope you're safe and well. Let's do it.